Good morning. I hope you are all doing well. We are still on the topic information. Last week, we talked about information. We saw what information is, and we also made mention of some sources or places where we can get information from. We said last week that information is something told. Whatever we hear from our friends, our family members, or anyone is termed as information. We also said we can get information by reading magazines, letters, books, listening to music, watching movies, and listening to what news. So we said all these are sources of information. For today's lesson, we are going to look at the technologies or devices that are used in sending and receiving information. The devices that are used in sending and receiving information. So at the end of this lesson, you should be able to be familiar with some of the devices that are used to send and receive information. Information can be sent and received by using different technologies or devices, and some of these devices include what we are going to look at. So we can send and receive information by using technologies or other devices. It's not only talking that is the source of information. We have some devices that can also serve as information to users. Let's say if you want to listen to the news, we have a device that you have to use in order to listen to the news. Can you tell me this device, the name of this device? Okay, we will look at it. To the first device that can be used to send and receive information, we have the radio. So we can use radio to send and receive information, and this is how a radio looks like. Okay, now let's have the look at the uses of the radio, what the radio is used for. To the first one, we have the radio is used to listen to news. The radio is used to listen to news. So we can use the radio to listen to news. And we said that news is one of the sources of information. So this device, that's the radio, can help us to listen to news. And the next one, the radio is used to listen to music and educational programs. So these are the uses of the radio. The next device is the mobile phones. We can also use mobile phones to send and receive information. Mobile phones are also used to send and receive information. Let's have a look at the uses of mobile phones or smartphones. To the first one, the mobile phone is used to make calls. As you all know, we can use the mobile phone to make calls. The next one, some mobile phones can also be used to listen to the radio or listen to news. Okay, some of them have inbuilt radio, so we can use those radio to listen to the news. Then the next one, mobile phones are used to watch movies and listen to music. We can also use mobile phones to watch movies and listen to music. And the next one is what we call the telephone. Okay, we have the telephone. Let's have a look at the uses of the telephone. So the telephone is used to make calls. The telephone is used to make calls. And the next device, we have the computer. Okay, this is how a computer looks like. We have already talked about computer and the parts of the computer. Now let's have a look at the uses of the computer. How the computer can be used to send and receive information. So the computer is used in sending emails or electronic mails. When you talk of emails, they are the messages that we send to other people having email accounts. And when you send messages to them, it's a form of sharing information. So the computer is used in sending and receiving of emails. The computer can also be used to listen to online news. Okay, we can listen to the news by using the computer when it's connected to the internet. And the next one, the computer is used to watch movies and listen to music. So we can also use the computer to watch movies and listen to music, which are also sources of information. Now the next device is what we call the fax machine. The fax machine. So this is how a fax machine looks like. It looks similar to that of the telephone, but they are not the same. They have different uses. So the fax machine is used to send information in the form of documents. So the fax machine can also be used to send information in the form of documents. The document will be scanned in the fax machine and sent to another person using a fax machine. It is also used in printing and making copies of documents. So the fax machine can also be used in printing and making copies of documents. It is also used in making calls. We can also use a fax machine in making calls. So all these are devices that are used to send and receive information. We will go over it again. We made mention of the fax machine. So this is how a fax machine looks like. The computer. Okay, we mentioned the computer is also used to send and receive information. We also made mention of the telephone. So the telephone is also used to send and receive information. We made mention of mobile phones or smartphones. So we can also use the mobile phone or smartphone to send and receive information. And the first one we mentioned was the radio. Okay, we can also use the radio to send and receive information. So all these are devices that are used to send and receive information. We have other devices that can also be used to send and receive information. We will end our lesson here and continue next week, Thursday. But before you leave, make sure you do this assignment. Question 1. Draw the following devices used in sending and receiving information. So you have to draw these devices nicely and submit them to your website. The first one is radio. We have the second one, mobile phone. Then the third one is what? Telephone. So you have to draw 3 devices: the radio, the mobile phone, and the telephone. Thank you. Goodbye.